With Memorial Day weekend just days away, millions of people are planning their summer getaways. Here to talk about this year's travel hotspots, we're joined by Chris Lahan. He's the Senior Vice President for Global Communications and Policy at Airbnb. Chris, what changes have you seen in user habits over the last year? Because I'm sure you saw some interesting trends.
Yeah, we've really seen a fundamental shift in how people think about travel. Broadly and specifically here in California, people are approaching travel now as a lifestyle choice. And really what they're focusing on with that lifestyle choice is how they can use travel to connect with their family and friends. And then amongst the most interesting things that we've seen from our data is the fact that people increasingly are looking for longer term stays. They want to stay in a particular place for a longer time. Prior to this year, about 14% of the stays on Airbnb were 28 days or less. Today, we're seeing about 24% of those stays being more than 28 days. People are really seeking to immerse themselves in a whole home, in a community, so they can really experience their friends and family.
Well, their jobs were kind of allowing them to do that, right? With the whole shift to work from home, people kind of realized, oh, home can actually be anywhere.
That's exactly right. You see a blending of working, of living, and traveling. And so you have people who are able to have a whole new flexible dynamic in their lives. Now, obviously, that applies to a subset of society, right? And generally a more privileged sector in society. But clearly, people have a lot more flexibility in terms of when they're thinking about their travel. For example, in the past, people would sort of consider their travel window that 2 weeks in August. And now they're able to think about the entire summer. They're able to sort of combine a trip with their family while also still being able to work. And so we really see this as a permanent shift. And obviously, Airbnb, which offers whole homes, really helps facilitate exactly that kind of travel.
Okay, so what regions did we see an uptick in people heading to over the last year? And then I would like to know where you're seeing people book for this summer and beyond.
Yeah, so, if you had asked me that question in 2019, I'd have told you the typical Airbnb use case is two millennials traveling into an urban market like San Francisco or Los Angeles. Today, our use case is a family of four traveling from a place like San Francisco or LA to a rural area within 30 miles of a state or national park or to a beach. And so the whole use pattern has really evolved and shifted. And so, here in California, what we're seeing is enormous interest around those state and national parks, in rural areas, Napa, Sonoma, along the coasts. And so that's where we really see, and you typically see folks looking to drive from about anywhere from 0 to 300 miles of where they live. So these are still primarily vacations and time away that you're able to do from within driving distance of where you live.
Okay. And have you seen an uptick in people placing their homes up to list them as Airbnb locations?
Yeah, the platform is really amazing. We think of our hosts as partners, the people who are making their homes available. And they sort of come up onto the platform as guest travel shifts. So as more people have gone to the rural areas, to the beaches, to the mountains, we have seen our supply, our hosts grow in those places. In fact, between 2019 and today, we've added 1 million new listings. And if you're a new Airbnb host and you came on the platform over the course of the pandemic, that typical host made $8,100, over that time period. If you come on now, you can become a host within 10 easy steps, 10 minutes, and typically within 4 days, you are getting a listing. And so part of the brilliance of the platform is that our hosts are our partners, but the platform really scales up in terms of where travel is going. And for anyone listening out there, there's enormous opportunities to participate, in the platform right now.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I've obviously used Airbnb in the past, and this year just booked something for later this summer. But there's a lot of talk online recently about something that I felt, too, that it seems like the fees are skyrocketing a bit there on the app. I've seen and experienced it myself, like I mentioned. What's going on with the fees? What can people expect? Have you realized that there's this uptick?
Yeah, we actually took a look at it because we saw some of the same social media traffic. And when we actually went back and looked at it, we did not see any material, real significant increase from prior years. I think, what is going on is that you have effectively a lot more people looking to stay at Airbnbs. In some ways, the pandemic has really mainstreamed staying at Airbnbs. People initially were going because they saw it as a safe option for travel, right? You have a whole home that you could control who was there, multiple rooms, so it worked for you and your family. But as a result of that, now more people than ever are looking to stay at Airbnbs. And so I think more people are becoming a little bit more familiar with the product and the services. We really work with our hosts to make sure people are encouraged to apply reasonable fees. It's very transparent. Before you make a booking, you're able to see all the different fees, both the taxes that you may need to pay as a travel and a tourist tax, as well as the cleaning fees. But again, we've gone back and looked at what the fees have looked like compared to year over year, and we just haven't seen what people have been talking about on social media. Again, believe that's really a reflection of just more people really using the product than have used it before.
Well, and I also wonder, like you mentioned, people are booking for multiple days, and those fees get up. If you're booking for 14 days as opposed to 4, what you would normally do, you're going to see something different.
Yeah, and one of the big things we've really worked on over the last couple of years is being able to build in the tax component, right? Most places in the U.S. or many places in the U.S. have a local hotel or tourist or traveler tax. Makes sense. You're going to a community, you're using the resources. There's a tax built in. And we've spent the last several years really trying to build that into the platform to make it as easy as possible for both hosts and guests to manage that. And so people, I think, are seeing that as well.
Okay. Is there any place that Airbnb is not in just yet that you guys want to get into, or you're looking for more hosts?
We're in 220 countries and regions, every place that the U.S. government allows us to be in. I will say, because I think this is sort of related to your question, one of the more interesting things that we have seen is a huge spike, a 90% spike in people searching for unique types of homes. It could be a tree house, it could be a yurt, it could be a castle, it could be a submarine. We have one in Milwaukee, a big potato, 8-foot potato if you're interested in Idaho. But I think all of that is really going to the fact that people increasingly understand that the home where they're staying with them and their family actually helps enhance the experience. And so we've just seen an enormous interest in staying in some of those unique properties, and have actually introduced tools to make it really easy to find those.
Well, time to stay in a potato, I guess.
Yeah, it's a first for everything, right?
Exactly. First time for everything. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a great summer. Thanks for the time.
You too. Well, the Palace Hotel in San Francisco is going to start welcoming guests back this Thursday. The historic hotel has been closed since March of last year due to the pandemic. The Hilton Hotel in Union Square